Mike. You're really ready for me to go live, eh? You're sweet. I'm writing down names and prayer intentions. Do you have a name of anyone you'd like me to write down? And this might be just silly of me, right? Yeah, that's fine. Bella? It was okay. It was an emotional day. I don't know if you read all of my posts, but we ended up finding a hurt cat on the road. So it was very tragic. It was a tragic end. It was frustrating because Lydia and Ethan tried to make it really special for me, and both of them felt very sad that it ended like that. And it was very sad. But the rest of the day was nice. We went putt-putt golfing, and we took my sister Risa with us. I did fall down at the course, so that sucked. And as soon as I fell, I remembered I fell the last time too. So apparently I need to remind myself before I go putt-putt golfing that I have a huge fall risk. So I hurt my knee and I scraped up my foot. The foot's okay, but the knee hurts today still. But we had fun. Ethan won at putt-putt. Lydia, she came in second. I was third. Risa did not even count. She just went her own way and did her own thing. It was cute. She just took off and did all of the holes by herself. We let her keep the hole in one, though. That's what she said. She got her first one. I told her, though, we were just going to say it is not true. Because I can imagine she's going to everyone telling them she got a hole in one. But, yeah, and then we went out to eat. After that, we went to a Mexican restaurant in that same town, and then they told, like, Ethan told them at the last second that it was my birthday. So the man said, "Oh, do you want a shot or do you want a dessert?" So I was like, "Oh, I'll take a dessert because I really don't drink anyway." And they made the dessert and they set it in front of me, and they had like a little band. They had a drummer, and then they had like a tambourine guy, and I think they had someone playing a little guitar, but they were singing. And so, I was like, "Oh, yeah." And they put a sombrero on my head. And so I'm trying to balance the sombrero on my head. And then a guy, he snuck up behind me and he had whipped cream on a napkin and he smashed it in my face. So it scared me. I couldn't really be pissed. I was just really embarrassed. Lydia's face, though. Lydia was shocked. And Lydia was like, if someone were to do that to me, I think I would kill them. So I wonder if they do that to everybody for their birthday, or if they try to gauge if the person's happy or not. I don't know, but it was silly. Yeah. Yeah, the main thing is that we had fun. So, and then we came back and Risa stayed for a bit while I fed the animals, and then I took her home. And hey, but no. Ah, no. No and no. I know, I see it too. That's not for you. That's because the cats are nasty and stinky. Come on, go. Go. Get. No. You want to go outside? You want to go out and go potty? Come on. No food. No food, but you want to go outside? Don't look at me like that. Sorry, the cat made a mess, so. And so yeah, we took Risa home. I took her home. And then when I came back, I was like, what? Why is the kitchen light off? Why would Risa wouldn't shut the light off? Because it was late, it was like after 8 o'clock. And then I hear like Lydia go, Mom. And I look, and in the dining room, her and Ethan had a special cake, and they had candles on it. So they were singing me happy birthday. So it was really sweet. And it was a gigantic, delicious chocolate fudge cake that Ethan made with his grandma. And it has red roses and green icing. It was so good, so rich, so rich. And I actually finished my piece last night because like I couldn't have any more. But I did have the little dessert at the Mexican restaurant, so I already had my sweets. But what did Bud do? Well, the cat made a mess outside the litter box, so he was looking at it as if it was an appetizer. So I had to get up and stop that. He's over there still. But yeah, and then we had the cake. And then sometime after that, I think it was because I think I fed the cats then, or I was going to, and I couldn't find Chatty. And I was like, Lydia, do you have Chatty? Like, is she down in the basement with you guys? And she's like, no. And then I looked around up here everywhere. I looked outside, but I didn't think she was outside. Because the last time I saw her, Lydia was holding her in the kitchen. And Risa had still been here. And so I checked all the spots. I couldn't find her. And then I told them again. So then we kind of figured she was outside. But when I went outside earlier to look, the garage door, like the small door to go into the garage, was open. And the gate right beside that was open, like wide open. So I was like, why are these gates open? Like, I can't remember if when we left for the restaurant, if I took stuff out of the van. I put it in the garage to make room because I had some paper towels and toilet paper in there. So I just put them in the garage. So, okay, maybe I left the garage door open. But why is the gate wide open? Because even then, if Bud goes out, we don't leave the gate open. So we figured out that Chatty had left. She was gone, and it was cold, and it was windy, and it was dark, and we were just like, oh my gosh. So we all got flashlights and we started walking the block, and we didn't find her. And then Lydia got on her scooter and she was driving around calling for her. She didn't find her. Ethan went around. He didn't find her. I went around. I didn't find her. I walked around like another block out. You know, I started branching out. I couldn't see anything anyway. So I drove around in my car, and then I came back. And then I drove around again and I came back. And Lydia was like out of her mind, upset, because, you know, Chatty's her baby, and Chatty's the disabled one who has no business being outside of the gate. And yeah, so it was scary. And I went and I drove farther down then. Like I went through all the blocks around us and stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know how I'm going to find her, you know? So I was praying, and I know Lydia was at home praying too. And she came with me at one point. But I went over to the east side, and that was where I saw a cat on the side of the road curled up, and I was like, oh shit. You know, it was too far for it to be Chatty. I knew it wasn't her. And my headlights on my van are not the best, but I stopped anyway. And I got out. I was going to move the cat off the road. And when I went to pick up the cat, it moved. It cried out in pain. And I was like, oh my God. And I figured out quickly it couldn't do anything. It could just move. It couldn't get up and run away. So I'm like, oh shit, what do I do? You know? And so I picked it up and I put it on the grass at least. And then I sat down on the curb and I just sat there with it and trying to assess, you know, what was wrong with it and if it should go to the vet, you know, what, like, and then the only vet that we have that's overnight is an hour away, and it's, you know, $500 a visit. And, you know, just like all these thoughts in my head, like, what do I do? And so I'm sitting there for probably about 5 minutes straight, and a neighbor from 4 houses down came out. I saw him and I was like, oh, hopefully he comes over here, you know, and he did. And he was like, what's the matter? Are you okay? And I was like, there's a cat. And he goes, oh gosh, that's the Albers cat. And I was like, you know the cat? And he's like, yeah, you know, I don't like pet it, but I know it's theirs. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. And he goes, well, I know where they live. And I was like, okay, you know, can you call them? And he's like, oh, I don't have my phone, but I'll go get it. So he walked back home, you know, to contact the person. And I just kept sitting there. And then he came back out after a while, and he walked back down, and he was like, well, I tried to call her, text her. I even walked over to her house and rang the doorbell, but she's sleeping. She works early, you know, in the morning. So I don't know. The lights are on upstairs. I thought her kids, I think the cat passed because it had bent itself, you know, and it was like sitting there. And I'm like, no, it isn't. I could see its ears moving, you know. And then the police came. They pulled up right there by me. And he's like, yeah, that's the police. So they got out. And they're like, hey, do you need some help, or can we help you or something? And I was like, yeah, there's a cat. And I'm crying, you know. And they go, oh yeah, we know it was out here. We saw that cat, but, and I was like, you saw it? And he's like, yeah, but we couldn't get it. Like, it didn't seem to want us. It didn't seem to want anything to do with us. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, he got hit, you know, whatever. And he's like, you know, you can, there's some places you can take them, you know, or something. And the neighbor's like, do you have a number? Like, where? And the cop's like, well, I don't know. They're just around, you know, you just got to look them up. So they were absolutely no help. And I was pissed off at the cops. And the fact that they had already seen him, they had already been out there is what he said. And they just left him. So they're like, okay, well, we're going to leave. And I'm like, yeah, you know, peace out. And then I decided then that I probably was going to take the cat home, you know, just till it passed. I didn't want to sit there. I mean, I'd been there almost 20 minutes, you know, and the cat was not dying. Like, it was holding on. So, and then another car stopped and asked if we needed help after the police left. And the neighbor guy was like, no, we're okay. It's just a cat. And the man was nice. And he was like, okay, I'm sorry. And then I, I asked the man for more clarification of where the house was. And I told him I was going to take the cat. And he was like, well, I'll just walk over there. And I said, no, I'm going to take it home. Will you please text this person my address? And I told him my address. And, which is like right down the road, just on the west side. It's the same street. And, so I carefully scooped him up. I had a blanket in my car. So I got him up and I put him in the back and like on the ground. And then, you know, I said goodbye to the man and I brought him home. I told the kids, because they were still looking for Chatty. So when I came up, I was like, Ethan, did you get my text? And he was like, no. And I said, well, I found a cat on the road and he's dying, but we need to bring him in. So then, you know, they got emotional about that because, you know, it was a cat that was dying. And I was like, he's not terribly bloody, just his mouth. It looked like maybe he got hit in the head, like in the mouth. So we brought him in, and it was just really sad because he was suffering, and there was nothing that we could do but make him comfortable, and at least he was warm, you know, and it was a very long night. And then yesterday I wrote a card to the person at the house, and I was just going to go put a card at their house if they weren't home. It was in the evening because I figured if she was at work, she wouldn't know. And so I went to the house and she came right to the door and she knew who I was. Basically, she was expecting me. And she was like, I'm confused as to how he got down to your house. And I said, I took him there. And so she was very grateful that I took him and that I was with him. But I mean, he didn't pass away till 6 a.m. So he suffered all night. And she said the police first called, or the first Facebook post that she saw with the cat, that she thought it could have been her cat, was like 8 p.m. So, and the police had been involved then. So he suffered a long time. And that breaks my heart. So it was a hard birthday. But I guess I'm not really focused so much on that being my birthday. You know, like Lydia was just like, oh, so devastated that my whole birthday was ruined. And I don't think of it as ruined. I think I was needed. And I think that Chatty getting out was the reason. Like, I wouldn't have found that cat if Chatty didn't get out. So when I brought the cat back, we sat with him. And then Ethan said if me and Lydia wanted to go out and drive around looking for Chatty again, he would stay with the cat. And he was okay. So we both left, and Lydia was kind of in a shock state at that time. So she actually didn't end up coming with me. She came back in from the car. She's like, Mom, I don't feel good. I feel sick. I feel like I'm going to pass out. So she went inside, and I was like, that's fine. I'll just drive around again and look for Chatty. And at some point I parked. I came back. I parked out front. And Ethan was sitting out there, and I was like, I'm just going to walk. I'm going to walk again. And it sucks because my freaking knee hurt because I fell at the golf course. So I was trying really hard to not focus on the fact that my knee hurt because I knew I had to be walking instead of just driving around. So I got out and walked again, and I took off down the block. And, oh, thank you, Mike. That's really sweet. And I got down to the block, and one of the other cats was following me, the one that, he doesn't belong to anybody, but he's the black and white one named Nouvlet. He was just kind of running around too. So I just said, you know, Nouvlet was over here, BB was over here. I'm just going to go this way and see if Chatty's over here. And I went down to the end of the block and I saw a critter crossing the street kind of in the dark under the street lamp, and I was like, oh my God, nope, there's no tail. Look at the hunchback. That's her. I was like, Chatty. And I called her and the creature stopped and it was in the shadow of a car, but I saw it sit. And so then I hurried and crossed the street and it was her, and she came kind of running at me and she was silent meowing like, meh, meh. Like she was really happy to see me. So I scooped her up. I made sure Nouvlet got back across the street because he was being goofy and a car was coming. But so we all got back home, and then I got in the house and I just started like saying, she's here, I got her, I got her. And Lydia came out of my room. She had been in my bed and she was praying and crying. And she was sitting there with the other animals. And Ethan was still in the sunroom with, the orange boy. And he heard me, so we all rejoiced that Chatty was home. I fed her and, she had special attention and everything. And then after a while, Lydia had to go to bed. Ethan stayed up a bit, but he had to go to bed too. So I just was like, okay, well, I'm just going to stay with the cat. And we named him Lionel. That's what the name that Ethan picked out. Lionel James. And the lady, when I brought him back, she said his name was Boogie. Because she said he had boogies when he was a kitten. She was a nice lady, though. And I know she was sad. And I'm glad that I could at least handle that pain for her. She didn't have to do it. She said, I just don't handle death well. I just don't. And I was so worried that he was alone. And yeah. And little Chatty hasn't been eating. So we're going to write her name down. I got her some nice food today. All different kinds of food from Walmart to try to get her to eat. I think that, I think she's having a hard time chewing. So I think that's what's wrong. So like this stuff I got was like this, almost like a soup, like a pate, just completely, maybe like a gravy. And they're not even considered food to give a cat, like to be their main source of food. But at this point, she just needs to eat. So yeah, she's eaten several times today and kept it down. She hasn't thrown up, so that's good. Like I knew she'd been struggling for about a week with, I put food down and she's not really finishing it, or she's walking away, or she's sniffing it and being like, not interested. And she doesn't do that. So anyway, I made a appointment for her for the vet tomorrow just to get her in to make sure. And she also gets a steroid shot every few months to help with pain, so it's time for that again too. We'll write Bud's name down too. Butterstups. Hello, Peter. I'm writing down names for prayers if you want. If you have anyone's name you want me to write down. I saw another lady who writes names. She just writes names. I don't think it's for intentions, but I thought it would be a nice thing to do. Right, my mom, my dad, my sister, my nephew, my niece, my other nephew, Hello, is that you, bud? I think he's digging on his bed. He likes to dig his bed and then he'll lay down on it. But he'll be frustrated. Mike, do you have a dog? I know how much you love Bud. I didn't know if you had your own dog. But I'm so glad I stopped for that kitty cat. Because you would have been suffering all night on the road alone. And the thing is she said her and her family had been looking for him for hours. Like, it's so sad that they had been looking and they couldn't find him. It just breaks our hearts. But I think I want to do something positive from it. So I think that I wouldn't mind being on a call list for the police if this happens, for animals that they don't know what to do. They can at least call and we could go and see what we could do, you know, and we could provide a temporary shelter or take them to the vet. You know, there's no reason why me and my kids couldn't do that, especially because we care about it so much. But the fact that there's nothing here that would take care of an animal. We do have a dog pound, but they don't do emergency calls. Like, they're not just going to come out and save a dog that got hit. They just show up if you call and say there's a dog walking around. So I don't know. It would be really nice to be able to have a microchip scanner and just like be able to access that without having to go to a vet. But I don't know. We're all kind of thinking about things now. You know, I know it's not a like fancy thing to do or anything, but it would be very nice to be able to help people when they lose their animals. Rather than just have fucking cops who don't do shit because they're afraid of it. And they told the lady, well, we couldn't catch it. We couldn't catch it. And they told me, it didn't want them. So they clearly could have caught it. It was like his back was broken or something. He couldn't walk. And I knew he was in pain, so I was careful. I paid attention to where if I touched him or anything, if he started crying out, like to make sure I got away from him. And I told the kids that, like, you don't want to snuggle on him because if he's in pain, he could bite you. We did that with my cat Skittles. He died very tragically from a blood clot, and he bit both me and Sam extremely hard because of pain. So I knew enough about animals to do that. I don't understand why the police couldn't have at least put him in a safe place in their giant ass police station until like somebody could do something. Oh, you have? That's cool. Oh shit. I don't know what I'm doing here. Sorry. Yeah, so it was a hard day. I'm gonna write down my kitty's name. No, if I wanted to, I could have taken him. It's an hour away, and it's a $500 fee up front. And that's what's hard, is because we had taken our cat there when he was howling in pain. Like, we didn't know what was wrong. We had no idea. And that drive to get him there was hell. It was hell for him. And yes, it would be lovely if someone was in town that could euthanize, because when you get to that point, there's no point in doing anything but making them comfortable. It just sucks that he held on for so long. But I mean, we knew, like, we made him know that he wasn't alone, and every time he cried out, I would jump off the couch and go pet him and see if there was anything I could do. And then by the time he passed, I knew when his breaths started really hitching, like I knew he was dying and his body was just shutting down. And I wasn't sobbing then. I was happy. I was relieved that he finally was letting go and he could rest. But it just sucks it took so long. And I mean, I did have thoughts of ending his life. I had thoughts of could I suffocate him with a bag? Could I snap his neck? Like, and I just I I can't do that. I wish I was the kind of person that could, but I can't. So so I just stayed with him. It just sucks because life is this is what life is. You get thrown these terrible curveballs and you have to grieve and you have to take time and process. And some people take longer and some people, it doesn't make them sad and that's okay. There's all kinds of people in this world. There's healers and doers and go-getters and crazy intellectual people, people that build, people that cure things, people that interpret. There's lovers and caregivers. There's people that do terrible jobs because other people can't. So I'm just someone that feels very deeply about creatures and life. I just hate having to go through it. I hate seeing my kids hurt. I mean, but we all prayed together and, I showed them what I do to get through it. So hopefully they can carry that through their lives, because I'm not always going to be there for them. They need to know what to do when things like this happen. But, when I was a little girl, every single creature we found that was hurt, we brought home. Every single dead birdie we found, we brought home and we buried under our big fir tree. And if the animal could be saved, we would save it. And my mom, she would save animals. And if we didn't know how to take care of it, we would find somebody that did. And there was a couple people in town that they would rescue the non-pet animals like squirrels and possums and raccoons and anything and everything else. And I remember when we went to their house once to bring them a baby squirrel. They had a great big old house with wooden floors, right? And they had taken their dining room and sectioned it off with gates, and it was just for a family of raccoons that they were taking care of. And then, they said that they were going to release them. And I remember being just this fascinated little girl, like, wow, you can do this? You can do this to your house. Oh, cool. So, but I think if I did that, something temporary for cats, I would definitely want to lay down linoleum out on the sunroom porch and not have carpet. Because, animals are just, you can't. You need something that you can clean up. And like when animals pass away, they make messes, and that's normal, but it happens. But now I gotta get Chatty to eat more because she's dropped too much weight. She was not looking good. Lydia gave her a bath last night in the middle of the night. So she came to me and she was all wet. So I got out the heating pad and I made a burrow for her. Oh, I'm sorry, Peter. I'm missing all your words. Two sister cats 20 years ago. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm glad you found her right away. Yeah. Yep, they're like family. Did the surviving cat have a period of grief? Like that's really hard to see too when an animal's missing somebody. Yes, I put your name on the list, Mike. I put Peter's name on there too. You guys are nice and you deserve some prayers. Yeah. I talked to Lydia about a lot of stuff, and she talks about death with me too. And you know, she's only 20, right? But her experience with death has been painful and hard because of the way that people around her, you know, handle it. And that's understandable. That's why I have this fear of death too, or I did. But I mean, I've witnessed dead things. Like I've seen a lot of animals die. When I was young, I made sure I was there. I wanted to be there when my dogs passed. I wanted to be there. And it's hard to be there. And every time hurts. But it's like you understand the reasons why with each time. Like it kind of desensitizes you, I think, a little bit. But, and also, you know what to expect. Well, you know, when my father passed, that was 2015. I was just, it was completely out of nowhere. It was such a shock to me and my family. And it almost killed me. You know, the grief of it, it was terrible. And my kids witnessed that, you know, and their own grief of never seeing their grandpa again. But it doesn't help kids to see the adults hurting so much. I mean, it doesn't help them to see the adults bottling it up and not doing anything either. But I talked with Lydia, and she realized very young too that, you know, life is a cycle and that it comes and goes. It happens. And all points of life should be celebrated, even death. Because we can't not die. You can't avoid dying. You can't prevent it. You should prepare for it and accept it and recognize it for what it is, and it's a chance to be reborn. So that comforts me. I'll still get upset when things pass. I'll still get upset when there's accidents. I just wish people drove more carefully. No, I understand what you're saying. I mean, we have things that we have to tell ourselves to get through. Uh-oh, I didn't put my shadow's name. Yeah. Like, I know I should eat dinner. I just don't feel like it. I don't want to get sick, though, from not eating. Hello, Raider Rich. I'm writing names down if you would like me to add any names to my list for prayers. You can include pets too. Hello. Oh, Lydia, what did you do with your patch this week? It's Tuesday. We should probably do that. What are you reading? Just names. Alright, so you need to put one on, or this is off week?
Off week.
Okay. So that's good. That cake is better when it's warm because I had it. It was so good last night when I had it. Prayers to everyone. Okay. What are you up to, Raider Rich? I'm just going to write Florida because it looks like this storm is going to get them. And I'm going to write North Carolina. They are really struggling. I used to be afraid of death, but I was with my dad when he passed. And as weird as this sounds, he looked like he was at peace. Yeah. I'm sorry you had to go through that, Mike. I'm glad you were there with him, though. Geek. I'm sure he was glad you were with him, too. You know that channel, Bolo TV, The Village, she talks about motivation. And he prays for people on his lives, and all of his info is on his description. He is one cool dude. Oh, that's great. I'll have to look for that. Oh, well, yeah, I know, baby. I'm watching your special house. She's like, you took away my house. What is this one? Hi, baby. You can sleep on my bed if you want. Hi, sweetheart. I know it's cold. It's chilly now. Oh, she's looking at that bed too. She says, these are not my bed. Hi, baby. I might try to feed Daddy again. See if she's hungry. I swear she's got it only 5 pounds now. Hey, Jen, you hungry? Hi, you want your special food? Come here. Some special food. I think it's just some milk. I think she did. Jen, ready some of your special food? Wow. I'm sorry, Raider Rich, that you lost your dad too. Even though you were distant. Yeah. I'm sorry. Hey, how was that? I love kitty cats. I love you guys. Yes, I do. Right. Yep. I hate it because I've known people that die. And I used to, if they were customers of mine, like from serving, I would go to their funerals. And now I'm not connected to some of the other older people that I still know. So, like, I don't have a way to know if they pass. I don't know. I feel guilty because if I don't go to their funeral, I will feel guilt. You know, I know they're not my family, but I also know when they pass, they don't really care if I go to their funeral or not. That's not why, like, that's not the priority when somebody passes for the person that passes. They're long gone or they're getting ready to go. And they definitely don't want people crying over them. I feel like my dad reached out to me so much after he passed. And I miss having dreams of him. I just miss him so much. But I still have more life to live, more things to do. Sorry, I typed the poll wrong. It's supposed to say, do you have a name? I can't edit it. On my mom's side of the family, many are ex-veterans. Some have passed on, and the taps being played, etc. The USA flag on the coffin. Yeah. We send prayers to the world. Yeah, my dad was a veteran. His request was to not have anything, though. He wanted to be cremated and have no service. Yeah, every life is different, right? Some of them are crazy. I do like the late night lives. I like to look through them. I do about every night. There was a couple girls I liked to watch because they were kind of like a Hot Mess Express, but they aren't on anymore. So I don't know if they got arrested for drinking and driving. The one lady, she was trying to validate dating a younger boy. Like he was like 18, 17, and she was in her 30s. So she was on there ranting for a few days about how it was unfair of his mother to keep them away from each other, and it was crazy. But I couldn't stop watching it. It was ridiculous. But she really didn't give a shit about anything. So anytime anyone would say anything, she would just tell them off in her life. I hope she's okay. But she I didn't ever text and say you should leave this boy alone. Like, but seriously, he has his whole life ahead of him. Like, she should leave him alone. I should write the other family. That's my dad's name, Paul. I did Rich. Is your name Rich? Because it is right here. There you go. My dad said no service, just bury me. He probably would have thought funerals are a waste of money. Yeah. Live StreamYard panel. I don't know what that is. What's a live StreamYard panel? Did you? Oh, you did. Yes. That's a different platform? Something I completely forgot about. I'm sorry. You can add StreamYard to YouTube Live. You can add people on the screen. The first version of StreamYard is free. Maybe. Night, Manda. I'll see you on the next live. Okay, Mike. Are you leaving already? Did you already go? I'll say hi. That's me. Hello. I don't look the best. That way I can tell you good night. Well, yeah. Do you have to work tomorrow too? I know you work early. Oh, holidays. What does that mean? Like, did you schedule time off? Or is it something you had to take? Do you have anything fun planned? Wow. Are you doing it all at once or are you going to split it up? That's fun. Yeah. Does it feel good to have time to do that? I bet it does. Mm-hmm. So with that, are you allowed to make like your Christmas vacation longer and stuff, or do you get penalized for that? Like if it's too close? I'm just thinking of other people I know that have kind of that similar situation where they build up their um, vacation, but then there's certain rules, to doing it. I have a computer chair, and the cats like to lay on it, and Bella has now decided that's her place. So that's where she's at. Other people I work with have the weeks booked around Christmas. Yeah, it probably gets snatched up pretty quick. I tend to get sick of my family during Christmas, though, so I don't feel like I would do that. Like, not Lydia and Ethan. I mean, my family. It's different. It's different to have holidays now where I'm not expected to go be with the family. So it doesn't have to be this whole show and song and dance. It can just be what we want it to be. So, like last year with Christmas, it was hard for me to feel like it was Christmas because I'm so used to the chaos of it, the doing everything for everyone else. So it was different. So I'm hoping this year I have better sense of who I am and who I want to be and how I want to spend holidays with my small family. It doesn't have to be controlled by like my mom and my sisters, and it doesn't have to be controlled by the kids' dad and their schedule. So I don't have to have chaos, even though I'm used to it. I really did want to go to church yesterday. No, Sunday. On my birthday. So I really want to make that happen. I'm thinking of going to the church a town over because I like that church. I just want to go once and see how I feel. It would be nice. All right, Mike. Well, if you have to go, you're free to go. You can go get some rest. I'm probably going to end my live too. My live, not my life. I want to eat something other than a piece of bread. I remember I had bread. That can't be all I eat, though. I at least need more water. Thank you all for hanging out. Yes, I'll give him a big hug when he wakes up. If I eat, he's gonna wake up. Excuse me. So I will give him a big hug. But right now he's finally sleeping, so I'm not gonna wake him up. I have this little shampooer, like it's a handheld one, and I finally opened it and used it tonight. So he was very mad that I was vacuuming and doing things and not tending to his needs, which he wanted to eat. So he was whining and whining, like his little. And it was still too early to eat, but then it got dark while I was doing the vacuuming and the shampooing. So he knew. So as soon as I was done, I was sweating my ass off. I had to feed him because he was so mad. I didn't walk him tonight, so he's probably mad about that too. But there's only so much I'm going to do. And if I want to vacuum and shampoo the carpet, I'm going to do that. So, yeah. But how do you tell him that? You don't. This is so close to me. I can't zoom it out. All right, can we please stop? Thank you. I don't want to look at my giant chin. Okay. I need to make that not happen. I know what's happened before too. Okay. All right, good night, everybody.